As pigs are to humans, humans are to Veternians.
All of you are far, far beneath Viltrumites.
Round one, fight!
Alright, welcome to episode 2 of the online experience, where I showcase just random time, random game, going online with it, showing off stream. This is just the experience that anybody could have while jumping in. Today we're doing Mortal Kombat 1 on the Steam version, PC version, but there's also crossplay enabled, so you're going against, as you can see in this video, by the PlayStation icon up in the top right hand corner of where the name is. Going against PlayStation users, so it's PC versus PlayStation. Bar 5, it could be any one of the consoles. So it could be a Xbox One S to an X to a Series S to a Series X, PlayStation 4 or 5. You get it. So where do we begin with Mortal Kombat 1? There is so much to unpack here. So the whole thing of Mortal Kombat 1, thing that you need to know. So this video is going to be centered around those who maybe don't have Mortal Kombat 1. You're thinking about picking it up, you see it on sale, and you're wondering, okay, what's the online experience like? What am I going to be doing with this? First and foremost, I would say online right now, I don't think it's worth it. I think I would actually give this game a pass for the online alone. There is a lot of single-player stuff that you can do in it. There's a lot of unlocks. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But first things first up, a lot of the matchups on this, you'll end up seeing that there is a ton of lag. This is one of the kind of better running matches, but if you notice real carefully, and maybe it's just something with Omni-Man's animations, but there seemed to be a lot of stuttering happening on that person's end. This does have a form of rollback netcode in it. Rollback netcode doesn't solve all problems, though. It is a very good netcode when it's implemented the correct way, but for some reason, Mortal Kombat 1 just has a ton of lag and latency in it. Whether it's NRS's fault or not, that's to be determined, because I will give you a quick little stat sheet of this. So within 1 hour's time of playing online, this is both in ranked and just regular versus matchups online, I had 8 really rough matches, like 1.5, I'll say, like solid, maybe 2, I guess more or less 2 matches of really solid matchups where everything ran pretty smoothly. The reason why I was kind of saying like 1.5 was because on the second round of one of the matchups, the connection did start to go rough. But yeah, 8 matches versus maybe 2. On top of that, the reason why, a major reason why for this is because, and this is just what I wrote down, 11 Wi-Fi users to 4 wired users. That's kind of crazy. And this is one of the things with both, I think Tekken also has this problem too, because Harad's been mentioning about it, but NRS, they just keep saying, well, no, all of our connections are running smooth, they're running good and everything. They do not really want to, as far as I've heard anyways. I think there is going to be a combat cast coming up very soon. So again, I'll do another episode of this online experience after the combat cast happens, where they might be doing some updates to everything. So there could be some like reconfigurations of how combo structures are working, some new moves being added to characters, hopefully something to do with trying to combat having so many Wi-Fi users. The problem with this is NRS can't do anything about this. No company can do anything about this when it comes to Wi-Fi users. What it comes down to being is people just need to start having a better connection one way or the other, whether it is plugging your stuff in, getting a better wired connection, whether it is having a better data plan on your internet connection. If you want to play online, all you're doing is you're making it a struggle fest for yourself and others. I've said this for years. I will continue to say it. Wi-Fi warriors, as we all like to call them, And now there's a new term being coined called pluggers, the ones that rage quit and everything. So yeah, I was seemingly getting the exact same matchups over and over and over again when I was online just searching for random matchups. And I think what I need to throw up on the screen now is the whole thing of just, multiple. Let's just showcase the ping. Notice the ping on all these different matchups. It's kind of ridiculous of just how many wireless connections that you end up seeing in Mortal Kombat 1, and then how just ridiculously high the ping is. So, to put in perspective, normally you want to have a 30 to 60 ping, 80s pushing it. What we're seeing in Mortal Kombat is 100 to sometimes it goes up to like 400. It is crazy the amount of just bad connections that you end up running into in Mortal Kombat 1 online. Now, with that being all said, what we're also seeing is very terrible input latency to the point where it's basically unplayable. Now, that would have to be, it has to be, I mean, it's just the numbers are there on the screen screaming at you, whether you want to believe the developers or not, or whatever the case, but the numbers are screaming at you on the screen. High latency ping, high latency on the connection equals a lot of dropped inputs, and also it's just going to make the game hard to run for yourself. So when you're trying to input combos, especially with dial-up combos too that NRS has in all their games, just trying to input those combos one by one by one, when you have that much ping, it is just eating your inputs online. Not only yours, but your opponent also. So the whole thing of even if you don't want the matchup to be competitive, you just want to go online and just dominate everyone, you are going to have one hell of a time trying to do that, because your controls are just not going to work. Your inputs are not going to be there. And the reason for it is because if you're running on a ping that is over 120, 150, 180, 200, you're going to have these problems. You are actually defeating yourself in this, because if the rollback netcode, whatever the netcode on any game that you're playing, if it goes in the other person's favor, they're going to have that superiority over the top of any strategy that you're bringing into the game. You're still going to end up having some difficulty when it comes to inputting and getting your button presses through, resulting in very one-sided matchups. And when I say one-sided matchups, I mean if it feels like you can't push a button and the other person is just, even if you are blocking, they are still hitting you. If you are trying to, if it's your turn to attack, you try and attack, and they just cut through it, there's most likely some input latency happening in there to where their animation is going quicker than what you can see it on your screen. And that could come down to, if you're using Wi-Fi and your ping is through the roof, over 120, over 130, like I said before, then you might be actually defeating your own self in that way too. And that's the reason why the matchup feels so one-sided. I have very good internets, and even on a couple matches where the ping was lower down, because the ping was having spikes upwards, whether it's connection between, my connection and their connection, I don't know. That's something that's, you'd have to do extensive testing to figure out exactly what's going on to pinpoint the exact issues there. NRS definitely has that data. They can figure all that stuff out. So the problem is, though, it's going to be pretty hard for them to fix this problem when you have people with so bad of internet running on MK1. And yeah, I get it. It's the crowd that Mortal Kombat brings in, because it is goofy, funny, crazy, over the top, dramatic, blood, gore, guts, the whole 9 yards. You're going to bring in, a lot of the people that either they're younger, so they, internet connection is out of their hands, or maybe they just don't care to, this is just the one game they play Mortal Kombat and that's it. So they don't care to have a really good internet connection, which kind of defeats the purpose of playing online. Again, you should have a decent internet connection especially if you're just playing, 1 or 2 games online on the weekend or something. Even have a solid internet connection. Get plugged and wired as much as you possibly can. So yeah, like I said, every match being over 100 ping. A lot of people coming in too that I was noticing. they have over 1,000, 2,000, sometimes 3,000 matches. The game's been out for a while, so I get it. The reason why the matches are up there through the roof. Again, some people only play Mortal Kombat online, and then they get really frustrated because the game doesn't feel too well to them. On that topic too, the game itself does feel weird. It's not as smooth to play as MK11 was. I don't know. I've heard some people say it feels like MKX. I've heard some people try and say it's like a slower version of MK11. I don't think it feels like. I think it feels like its own thing. I think if anything, it feels kind of more or less almost like Marvel vs. Capcom because of the tag team stuff, but it's not even that either. I don't know. It's just got its own. I would almost say MKX with Marvel vs. Capcom, which if NRS was listening to some of the talking heads in the FGC, some of the bigger channels out there, and they think that the bigger channels, those content creators know exactly, how to make a really good fighting game. That doesn't always plan out, and this is, Mortal Kombat 1 is a prime example of it because of the fact that we have just this really weird input system of, the combo structure itself is super weird. Where MK11 had like 112s, maybe a 113 or something, which in other terms, basically, if you're on the PlayStation controller, let's say, square square triangle or square square circle, and it was very easy to do that. But most everything was a back or a forward on the D-pad along with that, so it was still pretty easy to do, but you would end up having kind of simpler routes to get your combo across, and you could link those combos together a little bit easier. This one is like you have to do neutral combos on top of also doing directional combos and jump combos, so then you have to mix together. Basically you're just dancing across the pad to try and figure out how in the hell do you put these combos together. So to me, I don't know, it just feels like MK1. If you're wondering, do you want to pick it up, do you want to get into it, I would say keep that in mind. Especially keep that in mind. Go on to like MKX, MK11, and try some of the harder to play characters that you have to dance around the controller on. If you don't like those characters, again, I would say be hesitant to pick up MK1 at full price, especially when you have people on there with thousands of matches and they've already kind of got the system down and they've kind of attuned to the combo system. I sort of was, but again, I've played years of fighting games at this point. I know the basics very well. I've actually tried to learn instead of just spamming one or two combos over and over again. So I kind of have down a little more. I'm not exactly beginner. I'm not exactly expert. I'm just I'm like medium, if you will. I don't always win. I don't always lose. So it's like if I actually sit down to practice a character, I can get the combos down. But I will tell you, I have had a lot harder of a time getting the combos down in MK1 than I did in, like, say, MK11, where half the roster, I could run half the roster in one night and come out with 60-70% win rate. On MK1, I'm lucky to have maybe a 30% because it is just like in between the latency, the lag, in between the complexity of the combo structure, and then just trying to make it all work in an online environment like that. When you have all those different, it's a nightmare almost just to try and do anything. When the matches run good, MK1 can be some fun, but for some reason, I don't know why they made the decisions that they made with MK1. I think we're all in agreement that MK1 needs an upgrade or two. So just keep that in mind. So then another thing too, as you see in the opening matchup of the video, Omni-Man, and we have a few DLC characters. Omni-Man still, like, as I like to say, DLC can feel very pay to win in a fighting game if you have a character that is has some broken stuff in it. Omni-Man is kind of one of those characters. It feels like maybe they nerfed him a little bit, where some of the little more spammy stuff that he could do didn't work as easily now, which is good. But yeah, so talking about online stuff and everything, let's kind of go into the shop stuff real quick. So there is, of course, microtransactions all throughout the shop stuff on here. You can end up going in and spending real world cash to buy some microtransaction stuff. You can go into the shops and you can. So here's the cool thing: you can spend microtransaction money, whatever you want to call it, to end up buying currency to buy stuff in the shop, but you don't have to go through that shop. You can also, there is other stuff that you can unlock. So basically all the unlockables in the game, you get silver by doing different challenges, going online, doing stuff like that. There is a gold also. So there's like 3 currencies. 2 of them you can earn in game, 1 of them you have to pay for. But if you go through invasions, you can actually get the one that you'd have to pay for. You can actually build that up. You don't get a lot of it, but there's enough there to get maybe an outfit or 2 for your favorite character that you're maining. So again, it is like the prices are ridiculously through the roof. Again, having to buy Shang Tsung or something where he is in the story mode and all that, and he was a pre-order character. The last 2 games of Mortal Kombat, you can unlock those characters by finishing the story mode. For some reason, this one, you can't do that. It's probably WB Publishing, making that happen. So just keep that in mind, too, if you're wondering, if you're on the fence of like, maybe I'll pick this, pick up Mortal Kombat for Christmas or a birthday or holidays, whatever. So, yeah, there is a shop. There is microtransaction stuff. The DLC characters and the Season Pass, I would say, are ridiculously expensive. So maybe if you can find Deluxe Edition with Season Pass on sale, that would probably be your best bet there. I would highly recommend, if you want the Season Pass, all DLC stuff, I would highly recommend getting the Deluxe Edition on sale and, not have to spend another like $40, I think it is, $30-$40, just trying to get, the DLC for this. It's ridiculously expensive. Overly expensive. It shouldn't be that expensive. Another thing, too, very quickly, you have to run. So if you're on PC, and this is a normal thing. I know a lot of people are going towards the PC side of things because you can mod fighting games now and put a lot of cool mods over characters and everything. Especially, we just seen some viral stuff go up where people were putting like Simpsons characters in the game, Disney characters, this, that, and the other thing. You do have to run a benchmark to make sure that your PC can run 60 FPS solid online. And this also, if you're on the consoles and you're going against a PC user, keep that in mind that if somebody's PC is not running 60 FPS locked, basically, because the game does not run over 60 FPS, you have to keep that across all platforms, or your frame data, it goes all over the place. So 60 FPS across the board, you can't go more than that. You don't want to be playing under that. So every single platform is locked to that. So that shouldn't be a problem on paper. In practice, who knows? It might actually be a little more of a problem. But if you're wondering about crossplay, like if you're on the PlayStation or something, and you're going to crossplay against a PC, again, everything is locked to 60 across all platforms. So that shouldn't be a problem. It very well could be, but it shouldn't be. Invasion mode, real quick. If you go into invasion mode, again, I was saying there is 3 different types of currencies. 2 you can earn, one that you can slightly earn, but mostly you pay for it. Invasion mode seems to be the place to get all that stuff. So if you're wondering, is there offline content? There is a ton of it in Mortal Kombat 1, which, in all honesty, if you get the game for cheap, like half off or whatever, and you don't like the online, there is a lot of offline stuff. Maybe you can get the good feel on the combo system that's going on. Again, the game is a little more, it's just a little more rough around the edges of trying to learn how to main a character. And yeah, you can use invasion mode, you can use story mode. There is, arcade modes. There's all kinds of stuff to do offline. So online with Mortal Kombat 1 is not the end-all be-all. In all honesty, I would actually recommend the offline modes because there is almost more content there, and you don't have to deal with so many Wi-Fi warriors. It's almost more fun offline than it is online. Really weird to say for a Mortal Kombat game, but that's kind of where we're at. That is kind of the online experience of Mortal Kombat 1 in a nutshell. So If you're sold on it, if you're not, well, that's what this video is here, just to give you the rundown of everything within 1 hour's time of that. I was just going through, seeing about. Again, we're going to have more combat casts, we're going to have more updates, so the game could get better in the future. They are going to be with Mortal Kombat 1 the long haul. Something else you can keep in mind too. There's going to be, you know, overhauls and updates and more DLC. Oh my. On top of the overhauls, on top of the updates, the DLC could be pay to win kind of mechanics where it's like, you know, a character is very overpowered and all of a sudden you ain't got a character that can go against it. That's just the nature of fighting games, though. Sometimes that ends up happening. So yeah, if hopefully this helped out something, you know, one way or the other. If you were thinking about, hey, maybe I want to pick up Mortal Kombat 1, well, there you go. There's a rundown of it. So anyways, the online experience, make sure to hit that sub button, the like button, all that good stuff, all the YouTube stuff. And yeah, this is the online experience.